I used to work at a hotel in my town, and I regret it. Our town had gotten hit by a hurricane a few months back, and a lot of houses were badly damaged. So a lot of people left. The hotel was about a 20-minute walk from my house. I'm leaving the names out, because I don't want this traced back to me. The hotel was a standard bed and breakfast place, you know, wet scrambled eggs, frozen sausages, cereal. It was busy for a month after the hurricane, with people whose houses were wrecked. But things quieted down after that. It got even quieter than before the storm. I always worked the night shift, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Someone else would come in at 2 and work till 10 or 11 a.m. I could always see the checking list, and at this time, we only had maybe 9 rooms filled. That's nothing. I could go the whole night without seeing a single person. There was a back break room for employees with a coffee machine, fridge, table, and a couple of sofas. The employee bathroom was back there, too. At night, I spent most of my time in that room. There was a bell at the front desk. People could ring if they needed anything. I was in the back when I heard a deep voice from the lobby saying, "Hello, hello," repeatedly. I got up and went through the door to get behind the counter. I saw a man on the other side of the glass barrier. It had about a 10-inch opening underneath. He said he needed towels. I grabbed him a couple of extra towels and slid them under the glass. He grabbed them, hard-like, aggressively shot me this weird look, and then just walked off toward the room hallway. I stayed in the lobby, sitting in the rolling chair by the monitors, and I just watched that man on the camera. He walked down the hallway, looking around all weird. Then he started rubbing the towels on his face. I literally said, "What in the world?" out loud. Then he got in the elevator. So I went back to the break room. It was maybe 10 minutes later when I heard a voice again from the lobby. It was the same voice. I walked back out, and that man was standing on the other side of the glass again. He said, very loudly, "My key card is broken." I asked what his room number was. He said something random like 2C. Our hotel rooms strictly had numbers, no letters. I knew this man was lying. "Sir," I said, "our rooms don't have letters. Are you sure you're staying here?" His reaction was not something I was expecting. He threw the towels on the floor and started smiling slightly, tilting his head as he got closer to the glass. When his face was practically pressed up on it, he said, "I'm going to kill you." He was still smiling. Then he said it again, louder, and again. Each time he said it, it got louder until it was almost a scream. I screamed back at him, "I'm calling the police." And I did. I picked up the phone and showed him as I dialed 911. He kept his disturbing smile as he started mocking me, calling the police, as I was loudly explaining to the dispatcher what was happening right in front of my face. The sick man just laughed and headed for the door in a slow walk. I told the dispatcher he was leaving. When he was gone through the doors and out of sight, I said he was gone. She asked me if I still wanted an officer to show up, and I said no, it's all right. The next couple of hours of my shift went slow. I decided, for obvious reasons, to hang around in the lobby now instead of the break room. There was one guest who checked in during this time, at around 2 a.m. My relief came. I clocked out and was free to go home. I walked outside to the parking lot. It was cold out. I remember wishing I'd brought my coat. I walked with my hands in the pockets of my light jacket and my hood up. Then I heard a voice in the parking lot. I turned around. There was a line of bushes that covered the first floor windows of the hotel. It came from the bushes. I don't know what the voice said. I didn't care. I just walked faster. Once I got out of the parking lot, I was on a main road for a brief minute. But there were no cars on the road in this quiet town at this hour. After a minute, I turned left down a residential street that would eventually turn onto my block. It was dead silent out, not even the sound of any distant traffic. Just the sound of my shoes hitting the pavement, and then the sound of someone else's shoes hitting the pavement. right behind me, only it was the sound of someone running as if on their tiptoes. Trying to be quiet, by the time I turned around, they stopped. There was a parked car right behind me, and I almost knew that there was someone hiding behind it. I heard laughing, and then a familiar voice saying quietly, "I'm going to kill you, bitch," without even seeing him. I knew it was that man. I looked around, planning out my next move. I couldn't outrun a man, let alone wearing my work shoes. I looked at the nearest house. It had an upstairs light on. Someone was awake. I would run and ring the doorbell for help. I looked back at the car and I saw him, that man, peeking his eyes out from behind the car. He inched around it to the front. When he got to the hood, the rest of his face and upper body were exposed, and I could see his disgusting, crazy smile again. I ran for the house, screaming, "Help me!" I made it to the front door and rang the bell at least 3 times. And that's when the man grabbed me. He started choking me, whispering in my ear, "Die, bitch," in that moment. I thought my life was flashing before my eyes, and then an angel, in the form of a man, opened the front door to the house and just screamed, "Hey!" at the man choking me. The man's grip was released from my neck, and I fell to the floor. I never turned to watch the man run away, but the man from the house helped me up and brought me inside. He gave me water and called the police for me. I explained the whole story to the police. They collected the CCTV footage of the man from the hotel and put feelers out to track him. I was called into the police station when they did a lineup of people who looked similar to the man on the footage. I was asked to point out which man I thought was him. I looked at all 5 of them for like 5 minutes, and I ultimately said it wasn't any of them. I don't know if the pressure and nerves got to me, but in the moment, I truly didn't recognize him to be in that lineup. I hope to this day I didn't make a mistake and let that man roam free. I worked the closing shift in the pro department of a home improvement store with a cashier. I'll call Nicole. She's kind, timid, and really pretty, so contractors hit on her all the time. It's mostly harmless stuff she politely declines, but it makes her uncomfortable because she actually has a girlfriend. I told her to just tell them she's gay, but she always insisted it was none of their business. She's my best friend at this point, and we always cover each other's breaks. One day I came back from lunch, and Nicole told me about a creepy guy who'd been flirting with her. She said she politely told him she was with someone, and he left, but he didn't look happy. I just laughed it off as the usual, but later that day, the guy came back. Nicole was off helping a customer, so it was just me. He looked normal, maybe even handsome, but something about him felt off. He was looking around, so I asked if I could help. "I'm here to see Nicole," he said. I asked how he knew her. He claimed he'd asked her out earlier, and she said yes. So he was back to pick her up. That was a total lie. I told him she had already left for the day, the standard friend cover-up. His smile vanished, and he immediately looked annoyed. He then said he wanted to ask her out again, totally contradicting his first story. I told him he couldn't do that. He crossed his arms and demanded, "Why not? I'm a terrible liar." But I couldn't out her, so I just blurted out, "Nicole is my fiance." His annoyed look turned to confusion. He sized me up. "How could someone as pretty as she is go out with someone like you? I mean, I'm no Jason Momoa. But come on, it doesn't matter." I told him we're getting married in a couple months, so you need to back off. He shot me a death look, stayed silent for a long, awkward moment, and then finally left. When Nicole got back, I told her everything after I described him. She confirmed it was the same guy. She was creeped out, but she thought the fiance excuse was hilarious. She even said she'd rather be engaged to me than go out with him, which I'll take as a compliment. A couple of weeks went by, and we mostly forgot about him. Then, one night, it was dark, and Nicole and I were taking out the trash to close down. Suddenly, bang! Someone slammed on the glass door. making us both jump out of our skins. It was him. He had this wild look in his eyes. His face pressed right against the glass. We're closed, I yelled. He just insisted he had to come in. Nicole shouted at him, I'm not interested. Go away and leave me alone, he just yelled back. I'm not here for her, I'm here for you. Then he said if he could, quote, take out her husband, she'd be all his. The guy was here to kill me. Go, I told Nicole, run to the manager's office and call the police. I'll watch him. I won't lie, I was terrified. If he got through that door, I was trapped. He wasn't huge, but he could have had a weapon. And store policy meant I had nothing for self-defense. I was completely on my own. The guy went nuts, starting to ram the sliding doors with his shoulder. The whole frame rattled, and I swore the doors were about to fly off their tracks. Just as I was bracing for it, Nicole came running back around the corner, holding a 2x4, and yelling, the cops are on their way. The man finally heard that, stopped, and took off. The manager showed the cops the camera footage. Thankfully, they actually caught the guy and arrested him. But neither Nicole nor I felt safe working there anymore, so we quit. We're still friends and go to the same college, but we work separate jobs now to pay for classes. I'm just glad she was there with that 2x4. I hate to think what that psycho would have done to me, or worse, to her. She says she's glad I was there. 2. Since having another guy around sometimes makes creeps like him hesitate. It was a serious wake-up call for me. Seeing how dangerous it is for women when a guy just refuses to take no for an answer. This happened a little over 2 years ago. Back in 2016, I just started a new job at a motel. The pay was low, but I needed an office job, and my friend Michael got me in. I did a few days of training, and then my boss and his wife went on vacation for a week. That's why the training was so fast. So, it was my first night alone on the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. The office was basically a glass box with a glass door, no protective night window. I had a monitor with security cameras, but that was it. It was about 1 a.m. and I was doing paperwork when a man walked in and asked if we had any rooms. My boss told me to lie and say no if someone seemed sketchy, but he looked normal enough. Yes. Of course, just for one, I asked. He said yes, as I started making the reservation. I noticed him swatting at the air and making spitting noises, like he was surrounded by flies. I tried to ignore it. Not my business. I just wanted to get him checked in and gone. I gave him his key, and he left. I had a lot going on in my personal life back then, so I was pretty timid. You have to understand that to understand what I did next. The man came back and slammed his hand on the glass door, making me jump. I looked up, and he was just staring at me. He cracked the door open, stuck his head through, and said, I can't get into my room. Why won't you let me into my room? My only defense was to be helpful. Maybe there's something wrong with your key, I replied, my voice shaking. Let me give you another one. The look in his eyes was something I can't describe. I felt like I was in absolute danger. I handed him the new key, and he went back to his room. I immediately started texting Michael for help, but it was the middle of the night, and he was asleep. No reply. Then, I saw the man trudging down the stairs to come back again. That's when I panicked. I ran into the back office, locked the door, and pulled out my pocket knife. I could hear the man in the main office yelling, hello, hello, why won't you let me into my room? Do you not like me? Instead of just calling the police like I should have. I decided to handle it myself. I yelled out, I'm just on the phone. I'll be right out. I tried calling Michael a few more times. No answer. I took a few deep breaths and stepped out of the office. He wasn't there. He was in the bathroom. I started hearing him talking to himself, angrily saying, kill her, kill her. My heart just sank. He came out, and I said, your key was broken. I'm sorry. Let me escort you to your room, he agreed. I was wearing a long-sleeve sweater, so with my arms at my sides, I was able to hide the knife in my hand. We started walking outside, and he seemed insistent on walking right behind me. I was sweating, continuously looking over my shoulder to make sure he wasn't going to make a move. We went up the stairs. He stopped at a room, and I stopped at his room a few doors down. I tried to smile. "Oh, that's the wrong room. This is your room." He had been trying to get into someone else's room this whole time after letting him in. I sprinted back to the office, locked the door, and checked the system. I found out there was a lone woman staying in the other room he was trying to get into. Later that night, my next guest was a police officer from a few towns over. I felt bad for confiding in him about the guy, but he was willing to keep an eye and an ear out. The next night, the man came back, but I had the doors locked and told him we were all booked up. I explained what happened to my boss when he got back, but he didn't take it very seriously. I kept working the night shift there for another year and had plenty of other strange encounters, but this was one of the worst.